Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how we can work with databases and specifically how we can do queries using them. So when we're talking about queries, we want to make sure we're looking at the idea that we're working with select and from. Those are the structures we're working with. And so the basic structure when you're talking about a query is going to be always start off with select and then any field names we're working with. And when we're talking about field names, you'll notice I'm using the snake case notation where I have the words separated by an underscore. Now, if I had actual good handwriting, these will be lowercase, separated by underscores, but I have bad handwriting, so it's all in caps. But remember, when you're actually writing this inside your editor of choice, you should be using the underscore with separated by lowercase letters instead of this caps like that I write with, but that's okay. All of our keywords we're working with are all in caps because that is the way we can easily identify it. Because again, remember, when we're writing code as a human being, we're writing the code for other humans. The computer itself is going to handle that just fine, so we use the notation of caps lock or all caps when we're talking about our keywords in SQL, so it's easy for us to identify as a human that that's a keyword for SQL. And then when we're talking about the table names and the field names, we use that snake case notation or the lowercase letters separated by underscores because, again, we can't have spaces because that's just too confusing. And of course, a quick reminder that when we're talking about this, we always enter statements with the semicolon so we can easily separate our values and keep track of what we're going with. Now, what I want to talk about today is we're talking about using a quick little database example of a friends table. And so the friends table is something we can use to look at just giving a quick result of how we can extract data out and see what happens with it. And so as you can see inside friends, I have my name, my type, the age, the color, and the sound. And for the residents of our friends table, we have Annie, who is a beagle. She's 11, she's a tricolor beagle, and she makes an ah-woo sound because she's so cute. We have Sergio, who's an octo-kitty. We've got Sergio over here on the wall looking out into space. We have our, therefore, they're black in the meep. We have mixed quacks, and mixed quacks, of course, is a lovely magenta duck. And they have 2 years of age, and they're magenta, and they go quack, 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 because that's what magenta ducks do. And finally, of course, we have Vlad. Vlad's our zombie head. Vlad's 99 years old. Their color is pretty sickly. Ugh, yeah, I know. And the sound they make is... And so we have some information about that, and that describes the friends table right here. Now, this is not a great table, but it's one we can use to make some queries and examples with. So let's go ahead and come over here, and let's take a look at the queries we can make from this. So our first query we have right here is we're looking at making a select query. We're selecting age, then name from the friends table. And when I run that query, I'm going to get out as first the thing we're going to get is we're going to get a tabular result of that. And so the first thing we're going to have is the age, and then name. And those will get like a nice little line up there underneath them. And we'll just give a little gap right there because they're two separate things. And then we're getting the age and name columns for every single thing. And so I'm going to have all the name and age. So I have Annie, who's 11. So 11 and Annie. And then we have Sergio, who is 4. And we have Mixed Quacks, who is 2. And then we have Vlad, who is 99. And notice the fact that we have the age column first and the name column second, so it doesn't matter where it is in the actual table, because when we're extracting it out of the table, when we talk about taking out the table, say for example Annie right there, we come over here and we grab that information. The information is displayed in a results query like this, the way we ask for it, so age first, then name. Again, one of the things we look at when we're talking about databases, the order itself doesn't really matter. And so it just goes through and extracts the values out at a time, clump, 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 clump. And so the select query grabs these columns that are specified from this table that is specified. And this is specific with a single table request. When we're doing multi-table requests, we'll do a little bit more examples with that. But for right now, it just takes out all the values in that table for those columns, matching on this table right there. So we can pull that out and get it all out. And it gives it out in a tabular result. So we have always that tabular result. And right now, it's automatically, we've got 2 columns with 1 row for each row that we have inside the existing data set. Now, that's the quick little blurb when we're doing just the first one right here, select from. There's a couple things we can do to add to that. There's things that can make that a little bit better. The next one we have is we can limit the results. Right now we have all of them coming out right here, but if I want to get some of them, say for example the ones that are less than 10, I can go right here, select age and name from friends, and then where. The where clause is how I limit my results. It's a way I can change and shrink down what I'm getting back. And the where clause is where that happens. Again, selecting from the required ones, where is optional. And in the where clause, I specify how I want to limit that. And so I want to use my age field, and I want to specify that it has to be less than, in this case, 10. So age, and less than 10. And of course, I'll end my statement with a semicolon right here. And so select age name from friends where age is less than 10. And so I'm going to grab all the data out of this. I'm going to grab the name and age columns, those together. That's 2D column structure, whole thing out. And then I'm going to look at the age column each fit. Is 11 less than 10? No, I'm going to skip that. Is 4 less than 10? Yes, so I'll add 4 Sergio from that, so I'm going to hold that in my result set. Is 2 less than 10? Yes, so mixed quacks and 2 is held. And Vlad 99, that's definitely not it. So when I grab that result, it's going to take it out right here. And so I'm only going to have the Sergio and the mixed quacks. And so MX quacks or mixed quacks is going to be a result right here. And same as Sergio, my lovely Octokitty up here. They're included in those results. So we have those results right here. So those are the only 2 results because we have that age less than 10 test that happens. And so the where clause is how I can limit results. And that's a way to shrink down the actual amount. And so again, we have the select, which tells us what we're looking at, which columns we're doing. The from tells us where we're looking at. And the where clause is how I can restrict the results on that. Now, I can also do restrictions in my where clause on things I don't even select. My restriction clause, my where clause, can be anything that's included inside this table. I could even say if the sound is equal to quack or ow. So I could get the mixed quacks, or I could get the anti-beagle out of that as well. And so I could do restrictions on that, or I could do a where clause on this, where it doesn't have anything to do with the select query. However, I also have the ability to sort my data. And when I'm sorting my data, there is one small requirement. Anything I'm sorting by has to be included inside that select query. So if I want to sort by something, it has to be either age or name, or any other query that I'm working with inside that. And so if I want to add a sort to this, I add the order by clause. And the order by clause has to be last. And so it has to be after my where. And so I'd add an order by right here. And then the next line, I'd have that go down, so it's going to be order by age. And to do that lowercase, so it's actually good practice with us all, right? Age. And we want that to be ascending. So that'd be ASC is how that's going to end. And so that way I'd have that same thing, so it's going to be that same result, but instead of going down, it's going to be retrieved in this order. So I'll have a 2-year-old, and that's mixed quacks. And then I have a 4-year-old, and that's Sergio. And so that would order that information by age ascending, so it orders that information by age. I can have as many order bys as I have inside my select query. And I can even have it so it's going opposite directions as well. If I want to, I could do descending, so I could have 4 first and then 2. Totally fine to go down to up or up to down. But that's how we do the quick little idea of how we can sort data from that. So again, when we're talking about that, we have to look at the data as a 2D structure of information. It's a row column intersection. We grab the data out of that. All our queries happen with a select. Our field names are used in camel case. We separate them by commas if we have more than one field name we're working with when we're talking about a single table query. The from and then the table name I'm working with, of course, we close our statements with a semicolon. A simple statement only has to have select and from as we go on that. We can limit our results by adding a where clause to that. And finally, we can sort our results by adding an order by. And the select, when we're doing this, when we're doing our limiting, our where clause, we can add things that are not actually included inside that select query, but are part of the friends table. The order by, however, we can only order by components that we have inside our select clause. So the order by clause and the select clause are directly linked. We have to make sure we have them directly linked together when we're talking about that. The where clause just has to be linked to the table itself. And that's how we have to do for doing simple select queries, and we can do some cool stuff with that. Thanks again, and have a great day. Cheers.